Hey, howdy. Hey, folks. This is Mrs. Johnson with the Agri Wisdom Channel again. Uh, again, late, same day as the rest of the gardening basics that look like this. We're gonna start our series, maybe called Gardening Basics. This one does not have an agriculture counterpart necessarily because uh we're talking about reading seed packets today. And as far as I know, calves and chickens and um, piglets and lambs and things do not come in packets that you can read instructions on, aside from like maybe fertilized eggs and maybe semen and like frozen embryos. But that's like super techy. So maybe some of you are getting into that, maybe you aren't. And I don't know how relevant this would be for you, but we're gonna talk about seed packets today. So let's go take a look at one. Uh, this one right here. This is our example that I've been using in the rest of the gardening basics series. This is where that comes from. This is why I keep talking about dill. This is dill. This is a packet for dill. You can see there's lots of things labeled. And there's lots of information on here. Now, this will vary from seed company to seed company and the kinds of like seed sizes that you get. So, like if you buy a 50-pound bag of seed, if you buy grass seed, for example, if you buy like these little gardener packets, they're all going to have different information because they're assuming that you, as the person buying the seed, are different people, right? So, this one is for a gardener that may or may not know what they're doing. So they're gonna put lots of information on it. You buy grass seed, and they're gonna put enough information for someone that's probably gonna throw grass seed on their lawn and take care of it. Um, but if you buy 50 pounds of the same Long Island Mammoth dill seed, uh, in bulk, they're probably not going to send you this much information. They're probably going to assume you kind of know what you're doing with 50 pounds of seed. Um, and so take this information as you will. We're talking about little gardener packets today. Even if you don't get packages with this information, it's often fairly easy to find this information on the internet now, um, or even through the company directly. A lot of seed companies are more than happy to answer your questions, in terms of like their varieties and cultivars and stuff, as long as you get the right customer service line, and you know who to call at said company, uh, or even gardeners, farmers, homesteaders, the like in your area. They're often more than happy to answer a lot of those questions for you too that are not on your seed packets. Okay, ignore that. Anyway, let's look at some other seed packets. Okay, as you can see, as I said, things are changed, moved around, all the things. And these are just like consumer seed packets that you find at the grocery store, hardware store, all the things. Um, so let's talk specifically about things that probably should be on most of these things. One, breed or cultivar name labeled A up here. That's how I know that it's Long Island Mammoth dill because dill is the species and Long Island Mammoth is the breed or cultivar. Now, depending on who you talk to, some people call it breeds of plants, some people call it cultivars of plants. From what I know, there's probably a couple other words for it, but it basically just means a man-made specific type of dill. Um, B down here, this little map, planting timing zones. Um, Useful for very new beginners, um, and relevant for some experienced beginners with new product. Um, C and K, uh, C, K down here, the sowing and the garden hints, instructions, tips, those are nice, for new folks. D, days to germination. Now, if you do not know what days to germination means, days to germination means that I take my seeds, I put them in the dirt. I'm gonna bring you down here. I take my seeds, I put them in the dirt the way I'm supposed to, as per the instructions or farmer vibes. Because after a while, you just kind of get good at it. Then, days to germination means that, in this case, for this dill variety, 7 to 21 days after I plant it, I should get baby plants coming from said seeds. And so I can schedule that, I can plan for that, I can account for that in my gardening planning. Like I said, in my gardening planning video, yeah. Anyway, then let's see. What else do I want to talk about on this slide? Oh, CK, right? We're going to read those out loud. C reads, sow in average soil after danger of spring frost. I have a video on what spring frost means. It's my gardening planning video. Sow seed indoors 6 to 8 weeks before outdoor planting time for earliest harvest. Okay, so what's that mean? That means this specific plant does not like being frosted. Don't plant it when it's going to be under 32 degrees Fahrenheit or 0 degrees Celsius. Don't do it. Don't put it outside. It'll die. Especially when it's a baby. And sometimes if you put the seeds outside and it freezes, it will freeze the seeds and you won't get baby plants. Sow seed indoors 6 to 8 weeks before outdoor planting time for earliest harvest. Basically meaning if you don't want to wait for that cold weather to go away, start at 6 to 8 weeks and then transplant it outside when the weather's not going to kill it. Basically what that means is keep it in your house or your greenhouse and baby it for 6 to 8 weeks, for like a month, until it's like big enough to be safely transplanted to where it's not going to die like a small fragile plant would if you did not take care of it. And wait until it's big and tough and strong, has a baby plant, and then go put it outside. Garden hints should be harvested while flower heads are still abundant and green. Cut entire plant and dry, contained upside down in a paper bag. Now, if you don't know how to harvest dill is thin little baby twigs, essentially. And they are what we have created for leaves on dill. And so you take the dill, you cut it, right, flower. Once it flowers, you cut it and you turn it upside down and you dry it. So when you eat dill, you're eating like little baby sticks and flowers and leaves. That's essentially what you're eating. So then, right, garden hints helpful for things that you might not know for sure what exactly you're eating on that plant, right? So tomatoes, fairly easy. Potatoes, yeah, I can identify a potato, tomato, carrots. Maybe I can identify lettuce. And I could identify dill, maybe, right, by itself. But garden hints helpful because maybe you don't know potatoes are grown underground. In this case, they're assuming that you might not know that dill is typically dried and it's asking you to dry them. So then we're moving on to E, F, and G, which are planting instructions. I, days to harvest, and J, your sell by date. Now, E, F, and G, planting instructions. This, I want to say almost always, comes with seeds like 95% of the time. Even if you buy super big spacing or super big bags. But sometimes that's like in spread this many seeds per square foot. type planting instructions instead of the way it's written here. E, F, and G, right? Depth to sow, seed spacing, row spacing. Depth to sow, basically how deep do I dig in the dirt to put the seeds in. Seed spacing, if you think of seed spacing as how far, if you plant in a line, how close together can my seeds be in that line this way, right? And I can put them 1 inch apart. Row spacing means how many rows can I have and how close together can they be. For dill, we're going to put them 2 feet apart, but we're going to plant them really close together in the rows themselves. Days to harvest. This is super, super important when it comes to planting things. Planting instructions, specifically that spacing, super important when it comes to finding out how much you can actually grow in a place. We talked a little bit about that in my gardening area measurements. I do want to talk about yield measurements in a video. Probably going to be in my gardening basics series. Days to harvest, though. Let's talk about it. 60 to 70 days, which means once I put it in the ground, I've planted it. I've said boop, 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 planted it a 16th of an inch down, 1 inch apart in 2 feet spaced rows, like good noodles. Then I have to wait 60 to 70 days, taking care of it the entire 60 to 70 days, and wait for, in the garden hens it said, should be harvested while flower heads are still abundant, right? I'm waiting 65 to 70 days in typical conditions for the flower heads to still be abundant and green. If that's not clear enough, I would Google it, ask a neighbor, ask a farmer, ask some folks, ask Google. Sometimes it's not super clear. They just assume that you're gonna vibes and spite it and handle it, because you already bought the seeds, presumably. Uh, so then one thing that I do want to point out very specifically, because some people will forget about this after watching this video immediately and then keep seeds forever and then wonder why they don't work. It's because of the sell by date or the like best by date. Because seeds are living things with living cells in them. And so you have to treat them like they might die one day. And your sell by date J, right? Picked for first, picked for 18. I think that says sell by 12-16 R1. I don't know what the R1 means, but 12-16. So we're going to assume like the 12th, like December 2016, probably. Sell by December 2016. What that means is the seller has to sell it by that date. Otherwise, not guaranteed that it's going to produce anything at all. That whole packet is as good as dead, as good as a bag of dirt at that point. Is basically what the the producer of that seed is saying. Um, and why is that important to you as the person buying seed? Well, because seeds typically last anywhere between 9 months and like 2 years, maybe. Typically, a good range is typically the rule of thumb, at least in my region, is to use seeds within a year and a half of buying them. And like for sure within a year and a half of this sell by date, right? So you could buy it like super, super early. You could buy it 4 years from this sell by date and probably be okay for all 4 years. We'll also do probably germination rates in this channel, birthing rates maybe too. But yeah, super important to take note of that. Kind of do some mental math and be like, if I buy this bag of seeds right now and it's wintertime and I know I can't plant until next spring. How long is it going to last? Or like maybe you buy something in the middle of summer and you're going to wait till next spring, but your sell by date is like this December. And then you're like, okay, maybe I take my risk, right? So, those are all the things that I wanted to talk about for gardening seed packets today. If you need more examples, if you're confused, comments, questions, concerns, drop them in the comments. I will answer them because that is what this gardening basics channel or gardening basics series is for. So, I hope you have a lovely day. I hope these are entertaining in the least. And yeah, tell me things to talk about if you want. I will probably like, take some advice. I will run out of ideas at some point. So comments is important. Thank you so much. Have a great day.